Does the boss still have it? Does he still bring it? Jonathan Cheng, you were at the show. Yes or no? Did he bring it last night?
He brought it last night.
He brought it last night. Now, Jim Fusilli, as the esteemed pop and rock music critic here at the Wall Street Journal, you get to go to a lot of these shows. You did not go last night, but you went to the Apollo show, which I think was the opening kickoff show a couple of weeks ago. Does the boss still have it, Jim Fusilli?
He's the boss still, but for different reasons than he was the boss in the past.
Okay, now we're going to go there, but I first want to just touch on the show last night. It was a slow start, Jonathan, wasn't it?
It was.
The boss did not really bring it in the first hour or so. You were concerned, but then he brought it at the end. Did the new material work for you? Because we're going to get to this with Jim in a second. Did the new material work for you? Did it work for the fan base?
I think most of the fans clearly knew the stuff. They came prepared. They were willing to embrace it. He did 8 songs from the new album. The new stuff is never going to be the favorite stuff. That's true of any artist at any point in their career. So with that in mind, I thought that they did embrace it. It didn't kill the momentum, but it also didn't get us off to a great start because he opened with 2 songs from his new album. And
right. It didn't.
They fell a little flat,
until he really came in to prove it all night. Was he able to prove it all night? Now, Jim Fusilli, you and I, we've had a little past fights over Bruce Springsteen. I am one of those old-time fans who gets excited when he does Lost in the Flood or, Wild Billy's Circus, which he hasn't done for decades. You, on the other hand, can appreciate the I call it the ever-evolving Bruce Springsteen.
Sure, I've loved Bruce in every point in his career, and I love him now as much as ever for the things that he does that are new, that what he brings new to the thing. I mean, this 17-piece band he has now is just not a bunch of people standing around stage. He uses them quite well. I mean, when Bruce has 4 guitars playing, they're doing interesting things. Right. The reason he's still the boss is because he's trying to show veteran artists how to be new and yet still speak to the veteran fans.
Right, and it's a tough juggling act. There we go. That's from the Born in the USA tour. The previous one was from the famous '78 tour, which I, as a young 13-year-old, impressionable 13-year-old, enjoyed. Believe it or not, in those days, Jonathan. Was the absence of Clarence Clemens or Danny Federici, was that something you noticed? I mean, he talked to it in the show, didn't he?
Yeah, and it's something that he clearly is making almost a theme of his shows here. He conspicuously asks, do we have everyone here? And when the crowd chants no, then we make a nod to Clarence and all the rest. But his nephew, Jake, has stepped in very ably. He is not only just nailing all the parts, just like we want him to. But he's also more than that. He's coming out front. He's bantering. You can see him interacting with the audience. And
let's talk about the political Bruce Springsteen. He made some comments last night, as I understand it, Jim, about times are tough out there, and he's alluded to the Trayvon Martin case. I think last night he actually spoke directly to it a few nights ago. Do you think that helps him or hinders him in his growth as an artist, Jim?
Well, I don't see those as political issues. They're social issues. He's been a social songwriter since Darkness on the Edge of Town. Once Bruce stopped writing about other people's observation of experience and started writing about his own personal experience, he wrote socially. In fact, it doesn't help him very much. There's a huge mass of his audience that disagrees with what they perceive to be his politics.
Is that me? Would you put me in that camp? I think I'd put myself in that camp, Jim.
So, I mean, he writes about, he's very much in the tradition of Woody Guthrie and other social songwriters. And a lot of times his audience doesn't want that.
Right.
But he does it anyway.
Right. He does it anyway in the sense that, as we talked about, we went through some of the set lists. I thought, by the way, that the folks in Philly got a much better show than you did, at least by the song selection. You did get Because the Night. But I thought, he basically, Bruce is known, the guy in the front row who calls out Rosalita, he'll look askance at that. He doesn't dig that. He is going to play his new material, and that's what he did last night. I think he's going to do that for the rest of the tour.
Well, the interesting thing about Bruce, and to just talk about Clarence for a moment, is that Clarence hadn't had much of a role in the E Street Band after Born to Run.
That's right.
I mean, Bruce actually had to work very hard to integrate Clarence into the band once he abandoned R&B and started playing more rock and country rock. But what he's doing with the full horn section now is fantastic.
Right. I saw them on the Fallon show. I thought it was fantastic. We got to run. I need final question to both of you. Are you going to any more Bruce shows in the coming weeks, Fusilli?
No.
No.
I'm going tonight.
You're going tonight. I hope you get a better set list.
I'm going up to Buffalo to see him next week.
Oh my God. Jim Fusilli, Jonathan Cheng, thank you very much.